Hi, I'm Brina.
And I'm Dee Dee.
And we're Mighty Moms to Owen and Tad, who are both on the autism spectrum,
We're going to share real, honest content and experiences
about what it's like to be a mom of a kiddo on the autism spectrum.
Between the two of us,
There
is
is nothing
we haven't experienced.
We don't hold back, and neither should you.
Here we go.
Welcome to episode 1 of Mighty Moms podcast. I'm Brina Dutton.
And I'm Dee Dee Gallegos.
And we are here to talk about all things autism. We are two moms who have boys on the autism spectrum, and we met a couple years ago through a nonprofit organization that we both volunteer with. And we just really want to share in this journey like that we're personally going through. And we want you guys to share with us what you're going through. We don't have all the answers, but we want to be able to have resources. So if we're going through something, we can rely on you and vice versa. So we wanted to create a community that is just all inclusive for, like Dee Dee said, caregivers of children on the autism spectrum. So I have a son, Owen. He's 8. He has nonverbal autism. He was diagnosed at 3. Gosh, we've been through so many things, good and bad. And Dee Dee has a son, Tad, who's 15.
He's 16. He just turned 16
that's right.
on the 29th of August. So
Yeah, so
we have a lot of experiences to share.
And she goes through so many things that that like I'll mention it and she'll say, I remember when Tad did something similar. So that's nice. And that just goes more to show like why we want to have that community, because if I'm experiencing something new, someone else has surely been through it already.
Yeah, and we also we want to hear all your feedback and share things and topics, that you'd want us to talk about. Just
let us
comment
know
on our podcast,
Yep.
all our social media platforms.
Email
and
us.
We'll talk about
Yep.
it.
And we'll put all the links in the comments of this video.
Okay. So Tad is our 16-year-old son, and he was actually not ever really diagnosed on the autism spectrum because back in the day, it really was, we really didn't want to get that diagnosis because if it was on any of his information, then our insurance denied it because insurance did not want to cover anything on the autism spectrum. And so
this was like 10 plus years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, this was when he was 2. It was 14 years ago. But Tad he's nonverbal, completely nonverbal. He does communicate through a communication device to let us know things if he's hurting or but we have actually been through almost every type of therapy as far on the autism spectrum because we knew that he had autistic tendencies and among other things he has epilepsy as well, and we just found out he has a gene deletion which causes his epilepsy and also his autistic tendencies. So we're learning more about that as we go, and I hope to share more about that on some genetic testing one day.
Yeah.
Because that's very, I don't know, it's so neat to...
Well, we're actually about to go through that based on your recommendation. Owen has an appointment in a few months to go through to a new physician that you had recommended to us, and we finally got into him, and it was like a 4-month wait. So here in a few months, he is going to go for all the genetic testing.
Good.
So we're excited.
That's very helpful in the journey. I found it helpful.
Yeah.
But Tad, we've done ABA therapy, physical, speech, OT, because he had some issues with actually walking when he was little. But as far as, I don't want to talk about all the things he can't do because he's amazing. He does a lot of great things.
That's right.
He is our hero, and he is a fighter. He's the strongest person that I know.
Yeah.
And he's just very special, and I hope you get to know him more as we go through this podcast and we share experiences about.
I want to interject on that really quick because I think that's, when you and I started talking about doing a podcast, that was one of the big things that we wanted to do was we want to connect with other parents, other moms, other caretakers, because we want to build a community of parents who are proud of their children,
Yeah.
who lift them up. And I think that's innate in all of us. We want to do that. But,
Absolutely.
But we are constantly reminded that our child does not meet the standards of society. And so, one, we need to bind together to remove those standards,
Yes.
change those standards. Children develop at their own pace. And our children are different and unique, but that doesn't mean that they're less.
Right.
And so, it's not always easy for us to have that stance, to take that stance, and we know it's not easy for our viewers and our listeners to have that stance. But if we bond together, there's always more strength in numbers.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to start this podcast. And I love that you said that about Tad being amazing and one of the most strongest people you've ever met, because that is so true. Our son Owen, who's 8 now, was 3 when he was diagnosed, and he started ABA therapy almost immediately. I think I went through a couple months of shock, and we didn't do anything. And then he started ABA therapy, and I think what a lot of people, we know what it is because we're autism parents, but a lot of people who don't know what that is. ABA stands for Applied Behavioral Analysis, and it's in the form of a therapy, which like you guys did that with Tad. And it isn't something that an autistic child can go do for like an hour a week and it help, right? It's got to be
24
repetitive.
hours a day.
So you really have to live that therapy lifestyle.
And commit to it.
And so for us, because we actually were able to find a place to drive within an hour to get therapy for Owen, it was a full-time job for him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he went to therapy Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, just like anybody would a regular job. And so talk about resilience. Because it's not daycare.
No.
It's not daycare. It's not glorified daycare.
No.
It is work, because
Hard work.
they literally go all day being redirected and basically taught the correct way to do things so that they can function in society and I don't want to say be accepted, because I do feel like with the awareness that's out there now and the number of children who are diagnosed with autism, that number increases every year.
Sure.
I don't feel like that. I feel like there's more acceptance now than ever, but I also feel like ABA therapy is so important because it teaches our children how to keep themselves safe. How to interact
Yes.
with other kids, how to I know when Owen first started ABA therapy, one of the first things that we started working on with him was he loved to elope, right? Like he loved to go run off by himself. And so we were on top of him all the time, and we really still are. But he went from taking off, but to now, within 3 months of ABA therapy, he was like, he always knew that he had to grab at the hand of an adult and if he wanted to go somewhere.
Yes.
So without ABA therapy, he would never have learned to not put himself in harm's way, go
Right.
into dangerous
To keep them
situations or
safe.
settings. Yeah. So anyway.
And I know there's a lot of negativity about it, or there used to be.
About ABA therapy, yeah.
And the main thing is you need to trust your mom gut.
Yep,
You go
yep.
take them to the therapist, visit, and the
Yeah.
right place for your child.
Yeah, we're not here to shove ABA therapy down your throats.
No,
And
but
we
I
know,
do. I
and
just
we know some moms who
who
don't go to ABA therapy, and they work really well with their children at home, and they've got a setup that works for them, and that's great.
Yeah, find what works for you.
Find what works for you.
That ABA specifically worked for us.
Yeah, for sure, us too.
Changed our lives.
And we did we still do ABA therapy for Owen and PT, OT, speech, all the things.
Yeah.
So, and even though they're nonverbal, like they always say, keep teaching them, keep talking,
Keep going.
because they do hear. And I've noticed such a difference in Owen just this last year, like I think from like age 7 to 8, that he is just like absorbing more. He's focusing more.
Oh, yeah.
And like it just seems like so many times the words are like right there on the tip of his tongue. Like he's just about to
Right.
say something. So, and I keep expecting it, you know?
Yeah, don't ever give up
Don't ever
either.
give up on it.
I mean, you never know. I guess I wanted to kind of touch on. We talked about ABA. Now
Yep.
let's talk about. I know it's difficult, but like school and IEPs. We'll elaborate more
Yeah.
in other episodes. But you were talking about. Oh well, we're saying everything that's bad. Well, the thing that is the hardest for me. Tad is homeschooled now. He's been homeschooled for the last 2 years. It's been amazing. A great decision for our family. But the hardest thing for me in Tad's life, yeah, he's been hospitalized and gone through a lot. But the really hardest thing for me as a mom is IEPs. It's a struggle, and it's because I go to these, and the teachers in that are amazing. It's not their fault, but they're there to tell us what all your child cannot do. So I kind of just want parents to know it is hard. I know it's hard going to those visits, but also it is rewarding to see the things that they have accomplished.
Yes.
Through that time period.
And I think too, it's really great if you don't know. So, state guidelines for every state, your child is guaranteed certain things, right? And so you need to make yourself aware of what those things are before you go into those meetings, or take an advocate with you. And if you need help finding an advocate in your area, let us know.
Yeah, we have a lot of...
we do have a lot of resources, and we may not know, but we can help you find out. Locally in the Texoma area, we definitely know of a few individuals who are BCBAs, board certified behavioral board certified behavioral analysts.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's so
I was
many
going to have
acronyms to
analysis,
remember.
but it's analyst.
So there's a girl in a lady in Sherman that I know of who is Owen's BCBA, and she's also an autism mom, and she's phenomenal. Oh my gosh, it's like she just has it all memorized. So I can ask her a question, and she says, "Yes, I know where." So on your IEP, whenever you have your meetings at school, if you don't know what your kids' rights are, definitely find somebody who can go with you and help advocate for your child, because that's what an individualized education plan is. It is specifically for your child so that they can learn whatever those grade requirements are. So what do we have to do for them to be able to learn that? That's what that plan is for. And so make sure that, you always know.
Yeah.
I know we've had a great experience with it. Owen is in the public school system. He does that and therapy. And so we've had a wonderful experience with the school that he goes to. And, we've had literally no complaints. And I know that's not always the case. So, yeah, definitely let us know about that.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about church, because I know that a lot of our listeners don't go to church.
Yeah.
Because it's
hard.
almost impossible. So, our kids don't really understand. It's funny because Owen's nonverbal, but that does not mean that he does not make noises.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got his certain
Maybe the
little
noise,
sounds.
yeah.
He's got his certain little sounds that he makes, and it's like...
And it's too hard for them to sit in a service and be quiet. And honestly, I would say 8 years, we haven't gone to church, because once Tad kind of grew out of all the nursery and all the things that could accommodate him, we'd go to the cry room.
Yeah.
But all that, once he got to an age where...
he was... Well, it's like... And almost, I don't know any church that just is not willing to be accommodating.
No, but the services just aren't there.
Right. And then, when they start to get a certain age, sure, I'm sure they would still welcome them into the nursery, but then they almost become more harmful to the other children. And so then it's like, well, what do you do? Because you can't sit in the service with them. So do you just kind of sit in the foyer and listen to the sermon? But it's hard. And so I know a lot of churches are making accommodations for that. And a lot of parents will I know sometimes you guys alternate and go into service, don't you? So that you can still go.
Actually, I have helped the First Baptist here in Durant. We have the Light of Mine Ministry, which is a special needs ministry. And that's actually what we do. We have volunteers that come in, and we have all ages of children that and adults. We call them students because it's of any age. And they can come in. The parents can go to church. Right now it's only in the late service, but it has been very, very successful. And I hope more people, we have people coming from other churches to our church so they can go to church.
So do you have a lot of kids who come to that?
Well, right now we have 6 total.
Oh, wow. And it's only been going for a few months, right?
August 13th is when we started.
Wow.
And those aren't, I believe one of the students were already members of the church.
Wow.
These others have come.
Nice.
And it's so neat because they'll come every once in a while because they'll go back to their church, but then they'll come. But that's the whole goal, is to allow we need to be spirit filled.
Yes, we do.
I'm not saying we need it more than anybody, but really sometimes more than anybody.
Sometimes more than anybody. And I know, and I think a lot of times we draw back from those situations like church or going to the grocery store or whatever.
You just don't want to.
And I think a
add
lot
any
of
more
times
stress.
We don't want to add more stress. We don't want to put our kids in a stressful environment, and we don't want to start, because when they have a meltdown, sometimes that lasts for the rest of the day, right? But I think a lot of times, I know I'm speaking for myself here, if Owen is loud in church, I think a lot of times it's more in my head than anybody else's.
Yes.
And I've even been in a service where, the pastor says, let that baby cry.
Yes.
If we don't have babies in church, then what are we here for? So it's really more us, but I think that is just, it creates a stressful situation.
Yeah, because
for us
we don't want to interfere with anyone's worship.
Yeah.
But
so we've gotten to a point where now Owen will sit through the first half of the service because it's music.
Singing, yes.
And so he just loves it, and every now and then he'll he just gets excited, and that's one of his ticks, is just waving his little hands. And so it's kind of cute because it looks like he's worshiping.
Yeah, that's funny.
Maybe he is.
And that's in our Light of Mine ministry. We do transition. So those that we try them out in the service at the beginning, because a lot of autistic children love music.
Yeah.
So
Owen loves music.
And one of our students stayed the whole time with a buddy. We call them buddies, know.
Yeah.
And the same with Children's Church. We transition them in there, and then when we know it's getting too much, we bring them back to the sensory room. Yeah. So it's been just a blessing to have that ministry.
We can almost start music in any situation with Owen.
Yeah.
And he's like, it calm, depending on what he needs. When I drove him an hour one way to therapy from age 3 to 6, we would listen to Hits 1 on Sirius XM radio. And so all the top hits would come on, and of course Taylor Swift was a big one, but anything by Taylor Swift, Post Malone, or the Jonas Brothers. And he was just in the back seat. I have so many videos of him just jamming out. And he loves some Taylor Swift. So we have an Alexa in our bathroom, and when he takes a bubble bath, he says he to the Alexa, because he wants me to say, Alexa, play Taylor Swift. So that's his,
music is definitely
he loves his Taylor Swift.
To
it
Tad,
is pretty
for
funny.
Sure.
And I know you said Tad likes country music. Because I was telling her, hey, I'm going to go to an Old Dominion concert, because that's
Tad would
one of my favorite
that.
bands. And she's like, oh my gosh, you and Tad would get along so well. So Tad really likes his.
He loves Morgan Wallen.
He loves all of his country music. And she sent me a few videos of Tad listening to I think it was Morgan Wallen. Yeah, he gets real excited, and I just
probably
I'm that's my buddy right there. I love it. It's so cute.
He does like Christian rap too.
He likes Christian rap.
There's one song that says word, and my husband was like, what is this word thing? And I'm like, he's learning scripture. Let him continue. And he loves it.
That's cute. So, but anytime you go anywhere, church, grocery store, like I was saying, it's just I think people don't realize, when I say people, I mean people who have neurotypical children or no children at all. I think they just, they don't realize how just daily tasks you take it for granted, because I don't take Owen to go grocery shopping with me. If I do, it's like in, out, and I have got to be like doing a 360. What is there anything within his sight, like that he's going to be oversensitized to, like if he's going to be, wanting to grab it, and it's not like he's, oh, I want that, and if I can't have it, I'm going to throw a fit. It's not that. It's just there are so.
I'm going to walk and I'm going to knock down all the cereal. Just because I want to feel the cereal.
Because of how it feels.
Yeah, I want to feel the boxes.
Here's one. That's my favorite snack, and I want to eat it right now. So we're going to open it right now. And we might want to open like 5 boxes. We don't know why, but just I just want.
You learn not to just battle that right now.
Yeah.
And just let me run in, let me run out.
Yep.
We do that a lot.
So take turns, like maybe the whole family goes, but only one adult goes in to grab stuff. And you got to make it quick.
Oh, yeah.
Or have some really good music playing in the car while you're there. But on that note, I did want to talk about family gatherings, because Thanksgiving is coming up in a few days. So
and it is,
I don't even know where to start. So I do want to start by saying that I know so many people don't have parents or grandparents or relatives that help them, and my husband and I are very blessed to have parents on both sides and siblings on both sides that are very loving and kind toward Owen and help as much as they can.
Yeah, ours too. We're very blessed.
But I know a lot of people don't have that. But if you do, and you're visiting relatives for the holidays, even if people are loving and understanding, it is still like if they don't live with that child 24/7 or they are not around them really often, it's so hard for people to understand why your child does some of the things that they do.
Or not only that, like for an example, at Tad's 16th birthday, we had a get-together at my mother-in-law's. Everybody there has been around Tad his whole life.
Yeah.
But he walked by Mike's grandpa, picked up a piece of bacon-wrapped chicken, put it in his mouth before anybody saw it. If you're not on him, you don't know.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of just
like
visiting.
Out of his plate?
Yeah, just off his plate. He didn't even know it.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in his mouth.
Yeah.
Walked on to the laundry room.
Yeah.
And Mike's like, oh, I haven't seen Tad for a while. Let me go check on him. And for a while means like in a minute,
Right. Oh, yeah.
He's out of
20
sight.
seconds.
I've got to go see.
Yeah.
And he was in the laundry room choking. He was choking.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. And Mike didn't know what he had. So he just started the Heimlich. And he yelled for Mike's.
Well, I remember you telling me the choking story. I just didn't know the backstory.
That's the
Oh,
backstory of that. And long story short, we had to call the ambulance because he couldn't get it up. But
oh my gosh.
Before the ambulance got there, Mike got it up, and it was that whole piece of bacon wrapped chicken.
Oh,
Tad
my gosh.
he has some sensory
you have
where
to watch
you have to watch what
when
he has
eats.
the
I gotcha.
pica. He'll put anything in his mouth. And so
that's scary.
It's very scary. And so ever since that I know it could always happen, but ever since that, like we just had another family gathering, and I'm like,
everybody.
Watch your plates, watch my child, but Tad almost knew, like, I need to stay out of the kitchen. Like,
I know that
it
was
scared
like,
him just as much.
That's
still,
like crazy scary, and but it reminded me of a story that's not scary. It was funny. Sorry.
No, I get it.
We walk into a restaurant. This was like a year ago, so Owen was like 6 or 7, and we're walking into a restaurant. It had been a long day, and I can't remember what we'd been doing, but my entire family was there on my side, like my parents, my brother and his wife, and Ronnie and Carter and Owen and I, and we're walking to be seated. So, which was brave, let's just say.
Yeah, walking through a restaurant.
Just walking through a restaurant. And it was on like a Saturday evening at 6:30-ish or whatever, And we're walking through, going to our seat, and Owen's hungry, right? Mm-hmm. And we're walking, and he, all in one motion as we're walking past this table, reaches over and grabs a French fry off somebody's table.
Oh yeah, I believe
pops it
that.
in his mouth, and the table just they just died laughing, right? And I'm just like, I'm so sorry, like
yep.
He's
And they're
hungry.
so slick about it, right?
Oh, he was so slick about it. And they just thought it was the cutest thing ever. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm sorry, he has autism. He just think what's his is his and what's yours is
That's
his.
right.
And so
I had the same experience.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, I had the same experience on a plane with Tad. Yes, we weren't in first class, but we were right there before it because we got the first seat there, and he had to go to the bathroom, so I walked him to the bathroom. Tad always has a tablet, music playing. That's just his thing. And we walked him to the bathroom, walked back. He went to the bathroom, came back, sat down, and the gentleman was like, came over, and he was like, ma'am. I'm like, yes.
What?
He came from first class. Your son has my phone, and here's his. He had traded
like, "I wanna see what's
with
on
the
that.
gentleman,
Here,
and
take
he's
mine."
trying to break into his phone fast as he could to see what kind of stuff he had on his phone. And I'm like,
How old was he?
oh, he was probably like 6 or 7,
That is
and I'm like,
hilarious.
I'm so sorry, and I had to explain. He's
Yeah.
special needs. He's nonverbal.
Yeah.
But he did.
Was he understanding? Was the man
Oh,
understanding?
he was, but at first I don't think that he was.
Yeah.
He just thought, like,
Bratty
you
little
stole
kid.
you
yeah.
stole my phone.
And
Like,
I think that happens to us a
because
lot
Tad
because
looks
they
so
look,
normal. Like,
they look.
I shouldn't say normal.
normal.
But
No, but that's what people say.
Yeah.
So the correct term is neurotypical.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
they look so normal, and so people are like, "Why is he
Yeah. Why
is
can't he
doing
talk, or why is he grabbing
And
things?
I do think though, after
yeah.
you explain it, and I know there's still a ton of awareness to raise out there, but I think most people, for the most part, are pretty understanding.
Yeah, that he was very
once
understanding.
Once you explain it to them, they're pretty understanding. You said he listens to music. Does he wear headphones? Mm-mm. I can't get Owen to wear headphones.
He
for the
doesn't
life
want
of
anything
me.
on his head. No, I have. My sister-in-law bought him a beanie that is Bluetooth and it plays.
Oh, what?
So you might try that.
A Bluetooth beanie.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it's a beanie and it sets on his ears, so
got
it's not
that.
in his ears.
I'm writing it down.
But he has worn headphones before. It's just that we don't put them on him anymore because
Yeah.
we're just used to the.
The sound. Oh,
The
we
sound as
totally
well,
drown out
so-
everything. I remember when my husband and I first got married, and we would go to a restaurant, and there would be like a crying baby.
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
you're
We'd be
like, oh
that is the first of all, that's not going to be our kid.
Yeah, never.
Okay? And if it were, we would leave.
Yes, we
and
would
now
not.
we're like, Owen can just be making the
La,
most
la, la,
god awful
la.
noise, and we're just like,
Sounded like a chicken, and you're like,
what? Oh, what? I didn't. What? I mean, we just tune it out.
yeah,
Like
I know.
we don't even notice it anymore. It's crazy.
This podcast has been brought to you by Wolf Chiropractic. Tad has been seeing Dr. Wolf for many years now. We believe that chiropractic care has helped with his sensory issues, pain relief, healed his scoliosis, and gives him an overall sense of well-being. Best of all, the staff works with us to ensure we never have to wait. We are in and out very quickly. For all your chiropractic needs, give Wolf Chiropractic a call at 580-931-3343. He'll get you all lined out.
Does your child need speech therapy, physical therapy, or occupational therapy? Visit thespottexoma.com to schedule an appointment today. The Spot provides speech, occupational, and physical therapy services to children and adults in the Texoma region. They operate with a patient-centered approach paired with parent and family involvement and training. They are eager to help you and your child build communication skills that will last a lifetime. So call 580-740-0205 or visit thespottexoma.com. Listen, my carpets used to be a struggle to keep clean. Between 2 boys and 2 fur babies, I was always cleaning up spills and stains. Then I found Ray at ChemDry. And basically, I've had him on speed dial ever since. So when you need your carpets, furniture, or even hardwood floors cleaned, call or even text ChemDry at 903-815-5811. Ray will get you all cleaned up.
We all need to take care of our teeth, and it can be extremely difficult for children with unique needs to care for their teeth due to the sensory issues. Dr. Taylor Markham and the team at Westside Family Dentistry can ensure you and your child's teeth are in tip-top shape. Give them a call at 580-924-1234 today to schedule your next appointment. CLC Fencing and Welding builds quality, affordable buildings and miscellaneous structures. From beautiful barndominiums to shop buildings and rustic cedar, wood, or iron fencing, they can do it all. We personally use them for all our fencing and welding needs. CLC Fencing and Welding serves Grayson, Fannin, Collin, and Bryan County areas. So if you're in the hunt for a great welder, give our friends at CLC Welding a call at 903-436-3888.
Founded, owned, and operated by nurses, Angels of Care Pediatric Home Health's clients are at the heart of everything they do. Proudly serving the medically fragile community since 2000, Angels of Care offers private duty nursing services, speech, physical, and occupational therapies, and respite care across the nation. We are also happy to announce we have started offering ABA services in Colorado. Please visit angelsofcare.com or call 855-45-ANGEL for more information. Get your halos on.
If you've been in an automobile accident or have vehicle damage, S&L Collision Center is the body shop to call for all your auto body repair needs. Larry Hallmark and family have been in business for many years. They are honest and do exceptional work. I have had all of my vehicles repaired by them and have always been satisfied with their work. So if you're in the need for auto body repair, call S&L Collision Center at 580-924-5958.
So I did want to talk about when Owen was first diagnosed, and I know you and I have discussed this a little bit, but I know for us, it just, even though we knew of people who had children on the autism spectrum, one, we just didn't know like what that entailed, but we just felt so alone, confused. We felt so worried about his future, about our future, about his siblings' future. Like we didn't know, where to turn really. Of course we had, his diagnosing physician and they had written a prescription for ABA therapy. And at that point we were like, what's that? I think in the beginning of the episode I said Owen started ABA therapy almost immediately. And I think we just went through this, first of all, his diagnosis process was about, and I don't know if it was the same for Tad, but we had to go for 3 appointments, which was a span of about 2 to 3 months. And it was for him to be thoroughly evaluated to make sure he had autism. At that point, he was having major aggression. He was having meltdowns that would last hours. And again, this is when he was 3. And so he was just having a rough time. We were having a rough time. I told you before we had a trip planned to Disney, and I hated Disney for that because all my memories are of us just having a hard time at Disney. And bless my poor family on my side who went with us. And I know they felt sorry for us because we were having to deal with him having his meltdowns, and we didn't have that official diagnosis just yet, and we were having to stand in all the lines. And it was it was horrific.
Can't imagine.
And so we haven't been back to Disney since. No offense to Disney, but we have not been back since. And that, and now it would be a totally different ball game because we now know that Disney offers, like, I don't know what they're called, but essentially a fast pass to anybody who has a child on the spectrum. You don't have to stand in line.
We did take Tad, and they really accommodated us.
Yeah, I've heard that. And I know American Airlines does too, because we've flown with Owen before, and there are no lines in customs or anything.
Yeah, Southwest is the same.
So that's nice.
I think a majority of the airlines do.
Yeah.
So everybody's becoming more aware. That's what we want.
Oh, thank goodness, right? And we need that everywhere, though.
I know.
We almost need like a fast pass at grocery stores. Yeah. Come on now. How about that?
Can the mayor do that in town? I don't know.
I mean, it would probably be up to.
It's not to get us through the line faster. It's.
Trust me, it's better for everybody. Hey, but real quick on that note, and I do want to go back to what I was saying about when Owen was first diagnosed, but if you have a child on the spectrum, especially a child who elopes, do not hesitate to get a handicap parking spot tag that you can hang on your car. I hesitated for the longest. like,
It's
listen,
a
he
handicap
can-
place card.
it's
We
a
have
place
one
ca-
too.
Yeah, he can obviously. I'm like, he can walk. Why
Right.
would I get a handicap? Well, because the further back you park from your destination, the more opportunities that they have to elope and put themselves in harm's way. And so, if Owen's having a great day, we might not use it.
Right.
But if he's having a rough day, you better bet I'm going to use it. And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten looks for that too, but that's what we're here for. We're going to educate people and let them know. But I do want to say, don't hesitate to do that.
Right,
It has to
that's-
be done in the county that you live in.
Well, we
Right.
actually got a prescription from our
Same.
our
But you-
pediatrician,
and then you fill out the
and then
paperwork.
it's not the county; it's the state.
Okay.
You file through
And
like the
it might
state
be
of
like
Oklahoma.
that in Oklahoma.
But now
In
Texas may be through the
So,
county.
I think it is, because I was actually
It
in
probably
Frisco
is
the
different,
day
yeah.
that I did it, and I went to the courthouse in Frisco, and they were like, "But you don't live here. You have to do it in the county." So that's
Yeah.
good to know. In Oklahoma, it's
Oklahoma,
through
you can do it
anywhere.
online, and then to renew it, I just did it actually
Okay,
last week.
I have to renew mine.
To
Right? That's
renew
funny.
it,
I have
it's
to
so
renew
easy.
mine right
Go
now.
online,
Okay.
renew, and what they do is actually
I need
contact
myself a note to renew.
They contact the pediatrician, Oklahoma anyway. They contacted his pediatrician directly, and
Okay.
then he confirmed, and then place card
and
done.
they are needed, and they do come in handy.
Absolutely.
And don't hesitate to get it, because it's for your child, and your child needs it and deserves it to keep them safe and to give you peace of mind. So
And also, I'm going to feed off elopement a little bit.
Yeah.
I know we'll talk about it more in an episode later, but it's very important, and I highly, highly, highly recommend every autism parent to get Angel Sense watch. It's a GPS watch. It will save your life.
and it's higher tech than just
It
like
is
an
higher
Apple,
tech,
and then just
because-
like a tag.
Yes,
from Apple.
actually, when Tad was choking, if Mike would have done it, he could have just automatically pressed for EMS, and we wouldn't have had to said one thing. They'd
Yeah.
have come to straight there. It
So
pins the location.
And you get notifications on your.
I get notifications on my
smartwatch.
watch,
Yeah.
like Tad arrived if he's not with me.
And also
or
he's got a set
I have a
perimeter.
boundary set around my house, so if he
Goes
gets out
outside
of that
that
boundary,
boundary.
all the people on our list are alerted
Right.
that Tad's no longer, and it gives us alerts.
How amazing
Yeah.
is that? That is so awesome. I
So
love
anyway, I
that.
highly recommend Angel Sense. Look into it.
Okay, and we're going to do a whole episode about that, because Dee Dee has an amazing story to tell about Tad eloping, and just the whole. And I know so many autism parents have gone through that,
Mm-hmm.
and then we've all also heard those stories or seen
Yes.
those stories that come across our news feed, or we hear them on the
Yes.
news.
Amber alerts,
and they
and
normally don't end well.
they don't end well.
And I that whole. Don't even get me started, okay? Because that whole thing, the way that's operated needs to change, and that's coming from the mouth of an autism mom.
That's right.
Too.
Yep.
So we've got some opinions about that, and then Dee Dee has an amazing story about that. But back to that, getting that original diagnosis, and I know it was probably even more difficult for you, just because it was 8 to 10 years before.
Yeah,
Owen got
resources
his.
weren't available.
Zero resources, especially if you live in
Even
any whatever remotely
developmental-
rural area.
And even developmental pediatricians, they were few and far in
Few and-
between.
they're still few and
they
far
still
between
are,
in
but
this
can
area.
imagine
No, I can't.
15, 14 years ago,
No.
it was difficult.
I
Like
can't.
Dallas and the wait list. I know there's still issues with the
There's
wait
still
list
issues
for
with
that,
the
which
wait
that needs to
list,
change
yeah.
as well. But
We have an amazing developmental pediatrician out of Grapevine. His name is Dr. Rios.
And we're gonna get to visit with him, and you'll
he's
meet him
go-
too.
He's going to be a guest on our podcast, and we're so excited because he's a wealth of knowledge. And he has some, so when you get your child diagnosed, you know this, you have to get them. So for Owen, getting ABA therapy for insurance purposes, we had to get him re-diagnosed because it had been 5 years. And every insurance is different, but ours was, he needed it now. And so in the process of getting him re-diagnosed, we got to visit with Dr. Rios again, and this was just like a month ago. And we were so excited because he made us aware of all of this developing
New scientific research.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's got me excited,
Oh my
too.
gosh. I immediately text her like crying, like, oh my gosh, there's all this new information out there. And and I talked to Dr. Rios about our podcast, and he was like, well, I would love to be a guest. Before I could even invite him, he was like, I would. And I was just like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, this man is so intelligent, and he would hate me saying that about him. I know if he's when he listens to this, he's gonna say, oh, but I'm telling you, he knows what he's talking about, and he is just amazing.
If our listeners have any questions for him, you can go ahead and submit those questions, and he can talk about them.
Yeah. So listen,
think about that.
We will have him on our show. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask a developmental pediatrician, go ahead and email those to us, or message them to us on any of our social platforms. We're going to put those links in the comments so you can access it that way. But yeah, let us know so that when he's here, we can ask him your questions, but make sure your name's attached, and any information that you want to give us.
Because I have a whole list.
Oh, man.
I can't wait.
We're going to have to narrow it down. We may have to have him on like back-to-back episodes.
2 sessions, yeah.
Because
that's okay.
It's going to be awesome.
That's
so
okay.
he was our diagnosing physician, and he did give us, when Owen was 3, he did help. Like, if you can have peace in that moment, he definitely gave us, helped us have a lot of peace in that moment, because he was very just like, this is what I expect, and this is what I recommend. And he said, reach out to these, there's some groups in Dallas you want to reach out to, and, just make sure that you're a part of them, so that we had like parental support from other parents. And I did enjoy some of the content and being in those groups, like on Facebook or things like that.
Yeah, but it's not personable. It's
not. And so what I found in being a part of the larger groups too was that if anything, sometimes I felt like the information was more daunting. And I really just wanted, and I think that's why, like, when you and I talked about the podcast and doing this Mighty Moms podcast, it was like, we want to create a different kind of community. We want there to be a community for moms, especially. Like I said, shout out to the dads, and there are dads who are doing this alone too, but we want to create a community of hope and encouragement and positive thinking, positive speaking, where we are speaking life into situations and speaking life into our children's everyday actions, everything that they do. We're speaking life into their development. My son is nonverbal, and I believe 100% that he will speak.
Absolutely.
And
Never
it may
lose
be
that
different.
hope.
It may be different, and it may be not not typical. It might not be normal, but. And I see it in him. I see his ability to communicate growing every day. And the power of life and death is in the tongue. You know? So I'm not going to say my son's nonverbal and he'll be nonverbal forever. Does that go against science? Yes. Do we care? No.
They aren't our Savior. They're not our God.
That's right. So we want to create a different kind of community for autism parents, and that community is going to be one where we are proud of our children. We are proud of their accomplishments. We're proud of the timeline of their accomplishments. If my son speaks when he's 20 instead of 2, I'm proud of that.
Right.
And I mean proud. I'm not just saying I'm proud. I'm proud.
Right. And celebrate the little
All
victories.
Their little victories are
they're
huge.
Big to us.
That's right.
And we celebrate those, whatever it may be. And they might have a victory one day and not have it the next, but it's okay.
And it might feel like the next day that they completely regressed.
Yes,
but
it's
you have
okay.
to remember those victories.
Remember the victories, because we live on those.
And I do encourage this, and this is something is one of those things where, like, do as I say, not as I do, because I'm not always the best at doing this. But when they have those victories, if you can journal that, even if you just jot down, Owen did this today. Like, when Owen was 3 or 4, we thought he's never, ever, ever going to potty train. And I mean, like, ever even understand the concept of, and through ABA therapy and very rigorous, it was a really hard time for all of us. He's potty trained.
Right. And that's a huge,
and I think
huge independent feeling for them.
Yes.
Is to get that. I mean, Tad's not fully potty trained, but he He takes us to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have difficulty getting
Right.
his pants down. He
Right.
needs assistance in that. But he's releasing, he's doing those things, and that's a huge victory
It's
just within the
huge.
last couple of months for him.
And we found out recently from Owen's therapist, we do parent trainings, and that's another thing. You know, when you have a child in ABA therapy, you've got to do those regular parent training conferences with their therapist. And she said Owen loves praise.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
who doesn't
love
praise?
praise? But he thrives on praise. And
So does Tad.
So I told my husband when I got home, I said, I know we always tell Owen, good job when he does something good. We'll say, good job, buddy. But it's like, now we're like, oh my
You make a
goodness.
big
Now you
deal.
can't be too loud.
Yeah.
Right? But you could, oh my goodness. That was amazing.
We are loud in our house.
We can't, like, I was like, like you can't get in an argument or anything.
Yes.
Or you're just like, I am so mad at you.
Oh yeah, no, they
know.
know, and they can feel those
Right.
moments as well.
Oh,
They're very
yeah.
sensitive. Which
But she said Owen thrives on praise. And I was like, no. She goes, no, I really like when he does even one little thing. And so, for example, and I know I'm digressing, but for example, when they wash their hands, they do a method called backwards chaining. And it's where they teach them each step of washing their hands, but they start from the end to see how many steps that they can complete from the backside, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So even little things like, you would be able to tell a neurotypical 8-year-old, dry your hands, and they know that means to walk over to the
paper towel,
paper
whatever.
towels, pull them out and dry their hands off front and back, everywhere where they're wet, and throw the paper towel in the trash. So for Owen, it's okay, walk to the that's a step, right?
Yeah, walk to the paper towel
Grab
holder.
a hold of the paper towel.
That's step 2.
Pull the paper towel.
Step 3.
Wipe the top of your hands.
Step 4.
Wipe the bottom of your hands.
Step 5.
And then throw it in the trash.
You see all the steps they have to go through.
So you can't just say to our child, go dry your hands off. It's in steps. And so
Eventually you
so
can.
now I can.
Yeah.
Now I can tell Owen, dry your hands. And he knows what that means. But when he was 4, he didn't. Or 5, he didn't. He didn't understand it that way.
Right.
So they go through so much.
They do.
And I can't remember what I was talking about before that.
We got on the steps. But
anyway.
there is one thing. So whenever I wanted to kind of touch on I lost my train of thought.
This is us all the time.
So
I've even called her before, like, hey, and she's like,
I don't
hey,
know why I called you.
I can't remember why I called, but what you doing?
Yep. Good. Nice to hear your voice.
Yeah.
But we were mainly just wanting to create a resource for our parents.
Yep.
That is our main goal for moms, dads, caregivers, whoever, that when they go through that diagnosis, they're not alone.
Yep.
And they can reach out. We're together.
Yep. And that doesn't mean that, like we said, resources. That means we may not have all the answers. It may not be something that we personally have gone through with our child, but we may know someone who has, or we may have resources. We've created a network, and we're still creating a network of people who may have gone through and had that experience with their child. So that's why we're here. And we have tons of topics that we want to talk to you guys about, but we also know there's more topics out there. There's things that you guys have gone through that we haven't. So send your topics in to our email address. Send them to connect with us on our website. Send them to us on any of our social media platforms. Drop it in the comments. We're going to read all of it. Either us or someone on our team will read all of it. And we welcome your comments and any topics that you guys have. Send them to us because we want to connect with you guys. And yeah, come back for episode 2.
We have a lot to talk about.
Okay, Mighty Moms, we're signing off.
Connect with us on our Mighty Moms socials, submit your topic ideas, and share it all.
Follow us at Mighty Moms Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Also, visit our website at mightymomspodcast.com. And remember,
Together, we are a worldwide cult of Mighty Moms.
Hell, bitch.